You wanted it, and we're providing it. Here's the second part of our Street Thugs Exposed by Real Fighters series. There are times when our egos get the best of us, and we wind up in situations we probably shouldn't be in. For me, a good example is I ended up calling customer service after I was dissatisfied with my phone provider. I went full Karen on them and felt bad about it right after. That's about as bad as it gets for most people who are good, or at least decent, at critical thinking. However, some people aren't, and they get themselves in some way worse situations. Like, could you imagine not training in any martial arts and thinking you could beat a trained fighter? Stupid, right? Here, we'll be taking a look at when people think they could take a pro fighter, challenge them in any way, or people just get shocked by what a fighter can do. Let's get to the action. Well, he's at it again. This guy is skiing more strangers if they want to get punched, and again, as you'd expect, they have an adverse response to it. I'd appreciate this prank a bit more if it was a little more witty, but that's not even the proper verbiage to ask if someone wants some fruit punch. At its core, it's just some guy threatening others, then pulling out a drink and acting like they're stupid for being upset. Again, this guy sucks. Rule of thumb: don't begin a fight with the most unathletic cartwheel in the history of mobility. This will not scare anybody off, and at this point, you can just consider the fight lost. I'm not sure what this guy thought the cartwheel was going to do for him. Maybe he thought that this was the moment he realized he was a superhero the entire time. I have no idea. But rest assured, everyone within a 4-mile radius no longer had the ability to feel fear for the following 24 hours. What's your go-to gymnast move before you get into a real fight? I'm a big pirouette guy myself. First off, if anyone ever wants to make a bet with one on who would win between a female purple belt in BJJ and a male bodybuilder who doesn't train, I'll take the purple belt 10 times out of 10, and I'm incredibly down to make that bet. As we see here, having a heavy max on bench press does not translate to knowledge on escaping back control. The woman here takes the back, prioritizes position over submission, and winds up with both hooks in an arm under the chin. This guy's traps weren't big enough to get in the way of the choke, and for that, he was put to sleep. So, is anyone trying to make that bet before this happens again? There's a bar in Thailand that has a ring in the center and lets people have Muay Thai fights as other patrons watch. Sounds like a good time, huh? That is, if you're one of the ones watching at a table with a Mai Tai in hand, which is what I'm assuming they drink there because Mai Tais and Muay Thai kind of sounds like a rad bar name. But yeah, there's a Thai fighter in there taking on a tourist, and the tourist is getting smoked. If I was a big fan of brevity, I'd say something like, "This guy sucks." And I do love brevity. This guy sucks. But hey, everyone who doesn't train with any fighting skills sucks at fighting. I've never changed my car's oil, and I don't miraculously think that I'm going to be the best mechanic in an auto shop. This Thai fighter is doing a good job at clowning his opponent without actually hurting the guy. The last push kick he threw was pretty embarrassing for the tourist, though. I would have paid my tab and found a different bar. Would you go to a bar like this? If so, how many Mai Tais deep until you're in the ring with some gloves on? Also, shout out to McFester999's YouTube page for posting this footage. Of the things that I miss that have fallen out of vogue, it's dojo storming. And that is what we see happening here. The shirtless guy allegedly walked into a Muay Thai gym and wanted to see if the people who trained there could actually fight. Well, it turns out Muay Thai gyms are one of the worst to dojo storm. Getting choked out sucks, and it's embarrassing. Getting hit a lot by a boxer hurts a lot, but getting a shin bone to the dome? Come on, that's gotta be the worst. A Muay Thai fighter threw a leg kick early on, and with his second strike, went upstairs because he knew this novice would be thinking the kick was going low again. And he's sleeping. Maybe he's dreaming of a world where he can block head kicks. There's a rule to sparring. Hit as hard as you want to get hit. Typically, the smaller or less experienced fighter will set the pace. This guy went to a Muay Thai gym and challenged a fighter and went 100% as soon as he was told to go. The Thai fighter let him throw his shots, clinched up with him, and then let him have it. He let his hands go, and that froze the challenger. A left high kick landed right after and dropped the inexperienced guy. I'd bet he's never seen that in a street fight. The Thai fighter then let a good amount of anger out on this poor, stupid challenger. Another high kick lands and some punches follow. The challenger is out cold, stuck hanging on the ropes. Now, did the Muay Thai fighter take it a bit too far, or was it justified? I mean, the challenger did come in there trying to take a head off with those strikes. Let us know what you think down below. If you're looking for some drinks and some action, not that kind of action, then Fifi's Reggae Bar is the spot for you. It's the place that hosted the bout that we're watching right now. This is a bit of a deviation from the script, seeing as how neither of the fighters here are actual fighters, but rather they look like they came in from the street, slammed some drinks, and thought that fighting is easy. Well, it turns out fighting is not all that easy. These guys are swinging like me in a terrible dream. We do get to see a pretty good knockout, though. After watching a bit of this, the clip seemed like it was going nowhere. But right as my interest was almost fully depleted, the guy in the red landed a right hand that dropped the other dude. Would you fight in a bar like this? As a person with journalistic integrity, I love to get the scoop on a situation before talking about it. However, most YouTube fight videos don't give the full story behind a scrap. Per the title and comments on this video from the Landon's STFU channel, the smaller guy here is a professional fighter, and the bigger guy works with this guy's wife at California Pizza Kitchen. The big guy challenged his coworker's husband, saying he could beat him in a scrap. The fighter didn't take it too personally, but he did want to correct this guy's thinking. The fighter, as we can see here, is lighting this guy up at will. He's not trying to hurt the challenger, but he's reminding him why he's working at CPK and not in the UFC. The fighter even drops his hands and begins slapping the challenger. I can't tell if I'd rather get knocked out or be disrespected this hard. But I'll avoid both of those situations by, not challenging a professional fighter. Another thing that you don't see from street fighters very often is body shots. You can't condition a liver to take a punch or a kick, especially not one from Ryan Garcia. This dude has one of the best left hooks in the game right now. Juju was taking these shots pretty well, but come on, it's Ryan Garcia. This dude hits like a tank. Sorry, we probably shouldn't say tank around this guy. It's still fresh. Noah Davis, you're up. Ryan Garcia posted this footage and we scooped it from his YouTube page. Be sure to check it out for a lot more content like this. Not gonna lie, Noah handled these shots really well. I would have been done just a little before the first punch landed. Noah hung in there though. Garcia rapid-fired his signature punch and nearly drilled a hole into the body protective gear. How many shots do you think you could take like this? None? Yeah, same here. Let's start this one off with a shout out to Hack the Incredible on Instagram. He's the fighter who we see taking on a challenger here. The big man thought he had what it takes to beat a trained fighter, purely because he's a big dude. Turns out that's not how things work. I mean, we could have told him that, and we've made videos in the past that highlights that size doesn't beat skill. But hey, knock yourself out, or let a trained person do it for you. This big dude went 100% for a bit, but his gas tank drained fast with all that pointless spazzing. That's when Hack let loose and really let this dude have it. Even the people recording thought that Hack was going a bit too hard. In Hack's defense, the other guy was trying to get a knockout right away. When it didn't happen, he was left having to deal with the repercussions. Was this a justified mauling? I'm sure we'd all agree that it was. Well, except for the guy that got smoked. Gym bullies are the worst. This video, posted by ShadyFlex1, shows this man toying with a jerk who somehow lasted in the gym long enough to make a bad name for himself. Per the original poster, this guy would come in and spar with teenagers. He'd go really hard and hurt them. So our gym enforcer came in, asked him to spar 5 rounds, and embarrassed him right back. You can tell that the trained fighter didn't want to hurt the guy physically, but rather sting him emotionally. Getting punched hurts for a bit. Getting embarrassed is the type of pain that'll wake you up at night and affect your days. The first time I got clowned in the gym, my self-esteem plummeted and I didn't make eye contact with a girl for a week. Seen here is a 16-year-old sporting white gloves. If you can't tell, he's a super good boxer. The way he moves is some pretty refined technique that's been sharpened via a lot of drilling and sparring. His opponent? A grown man who just needed to be humbled, it seems. The teenager invested in the body early. And as we mentioned earlier, that's the kind of pain that'll change your dreams of being a fighter into dreams of being a senator or something that involves a lot less hooks to the liver. The grown man took his lumps like a man, and he eventually just put his hands down and said, "No more." I can't blame him, and really, most people wouldn't get in there in the first place, be it a lack of courage or a bit more intelligence, but that varies. We've seen this before. If this doesn't look familiar, check out our other video on street thugs getting humbled. The more out-of-shape looking guy came into this gym in what he felt was his main character moment. He went to a gym, challenged the coach, and got beat up pretty badly by a guy going about 2% on him. Well, they ran it back in a more cordial way this time around, and the guy did what a lot of people don't do, and that's admit that what he did was wrong and face it like a man. But still, the dude cannot fight at all. Dorian Beaupierre is the coach here and the man who posted this on his YouTube account. Be sure to check him out and give him credit. He plays the matador with this familiar challenger and shows him that there are indeed levels to fighting. And if Dorian is at the top, the challenger is at the basement level of skill. Dorian can box, but he can wrestle too? I've had a bad habit of giving boxers a hard time because they aren't really fighting, but they're punching. But sometimes boxers do more than punch. As we can see here, Dorian has mixed the martial arts in his time, and though boxing is his bread and butter, the man knows how to sprawl and brawl. Dorian is able to snap this dude down, circle to his back, and get him flattened out. He hits some weird fisherman cradle roll thingy, I don't know. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, and I have no idea what to call this stuff. I do know that he went for a pin though. If you know wrestling, please let me know what this is called, because I'll be trying to hit this in the gym next week. This guy isn't exactly a street thug, but he certainly acted off of ego. I read somewhere that the guy in the black gear tried to indicate his sparring here, but no, he's just an irrefutable jerk. Senchai, one of the best Muay Thai fighters of all time, actively tries to teach seminars, and he spars as much as he can. He took on the guy, and rather than sparring, this challenger came to fight. While this guy is going hard, Senchai is still clowning him. He reciprocates the kicking power, but his technique is just way ahead of the challenger's. Don't get me wrong, that dude has good technique, but he needed to be humbled, and Senchai did it in the nicest way possible, and that's by teaching him. Do you agree that this guy started out way too hard for a light spar? Also, thanks to Yokow for posting this footage. They have a lot more like this on their channel. Check them out. We've got the story told on the screen for us. Light sparring can accelerate and get a little bit dirty, but just because it happens doesn't mean it's right or just. If someone asks me to go light, I do. I mean, I'm usually the one asking to go light because, well, I suck at fighting, but whatever. Let's just watch this and enjoy. Also worth noting, if you spar like it's a fight, you'd better have the gas in the tank to match it, otherwise you're a sitting duck. There's not a lot that's worse than being tired and having someone teeing off on you, especially when driven by seeking revenge. So, alright, this is just dumb. It's one thing to lie about being a purple belt, but to roll with a black belt after lying to them is a whole new level of stupid. Again, with the mechanic comparison, I'm not going to say I can work on cars well, but if I did lie about it, I wouldn't then show up to work on cars in front of people who know what they're doing. The fake purple belt gets tapped out so fast. Like, this is a mistake that would have been corrected on day one of a jiu-jitsu class. Don't give up your neck. The man comes clean, and then they have a much more enjoyable roll for the beginner. Being honest goes a long way, and it helps us not get choked out by black belts. That does it for this video. How'd you like the content? Let us know down below. Be sure to like the video and share it. It really helps out the channel. What do you guys want to see next? Let me know. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to make sure you never miss a future upload. Catch you next time.